Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new War Dragons video. So, as you guys can probably tell, I'm still a little sick. For the past couple of days, I've been like a little under the weather and stuff like that. So, I wanted to mention first off, thank you guys so much for all the support. Again, I got the invitation to the Creators Faction. We're checking since I'm technically not 18 yet. I can't sign the document. I'm talking with Pixel about that. But either way, I want to say thank you guys. Almost 400 subscribers. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for daily content for War Dragons. Now, obviously, this channel's a little different than gameplay videos. It's all tips and tricks and strategies and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, I want to thank you guys. But this video is going to be about I've been asked by so many people, do a video on what dragons you are going to want to breed solely for breeding and what dragons you want to keep for, let's say, war attacks and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go over every single tier right now. I'm going to talk about, like, every single type of dragon that you're going to want to have. So, obviously, red tier, pretty self-explanatory. You're going to want to get every dragon in this tier. Now, obviously, Kanara is going to be the top dragon, obviously. No doubt about it. She's going to be the dragon you're going to want for wars and stuff like that. But Kanara is not going to be your strongest dragon for very long. Most of the time, you'll get Kanara. You'll use her for like 2 weeks or maybe like even a week and then move on to a Boreas. Now, in the red tier for breeding, you just want to get all of them because you're going to need them for later tiers. Now, for the first 3 tiers, you're going to want to try to get every dragon just because you're going to need every single one of them for breeding at some point. So, purple tier, for sure, a Boreas, like no doubt about it. It's going to be the top dragon. Now, the 2 rares that I would say are worth it, like Dactyl is very, very strong, just because of that Havoc spell, and Borg is strong as well, because again, that Havoc is just so good at lower levels. So, basically, Borg and Dactyl are going to be dragons that you're probably going to want to get. Gog is okay, but you'll notice that all these resists are pretty bad, even if they even have one. But obviously, a Boreas is going to be the strongest dragon by far. And yeah, so blue tier, again, you're going to want to try to get every single dragon for breeding purposes. Newman, again, is going to be a crucial dragon. Well, not crucial. You have to pay $50 for him, but he's a strong dragon. So if you're going to get a dragon, get him out of the purchaseable dragons. In fact, I did a video like talking about all of that. If you want to check that out, it says, should you purchase ruby dragons? Highly suggest checking that out. I go into detail and like the reason behind I say what in that video. So not only check it out. But obviously, the top 3 dragons are Druid, Etzel, and Kiehl's. I see a lot of people saying Druid is not that strong. Give it time. Druid starts out pretty slow, but he gains a lot of stamina once you get him past level 15, I think. And he becomes really strong. Now, I'm not sure who's the strongest dragon. I'm going to say Kiehl's is probably the strongest dragon. Etzel is okay as well. But overall, I think Kiehl's is the best dragon in the blue tier. Just from experience, I believe he gets up to 50,000 damage. So, he's overall a strong dragon. Now, for rares, so all the commons and most tiers, you're going to want them for breedable, for breeding reasons, as well as the rares. But to use, Bolt is going to be just good because if you're going to do chest hunting at lower levels, Bolt with Death Gaze, Newman with Death Gaze, Inky with Death Gaze, and other dragons like that, these are going to be the dragons that you're going to need if you want to do some good chest farming. So, if you're going to only get one rare, get Bolt. Other than that, Viscous is not too bad. Grip is okay. Vazir is pretty bad. But, yeah. So, I would say, get all the epics just because they're good in some situations, sometimes not. Now, again, orange eggs, you're going to want to get everything except for a couple. So, Ruma is not worth it. Nos is probably not worth it. I don't think so. Colo, I don't believe you need for breeding until you get past Luminarch. Septis, you don't need to breed anyone. I don't think so, at least. I'm going to do a video on that. But, yeah, those are the dragons that you really just don't need. By the way, this account has followed a breeding guide precisely. So if you don't see a dragon on this account, that means you don't have to have it. Now, obviously, I don't have very many green eggs. Well, he didn't. It was someone else's account. But yeah, so this is a very, very solid account. Obviously, you're gonna want Amrock. You might want Durga. Overall, Durga is a strong dragon, but I would say don't worry about it if you don't like sorcerers, spend your egg tokens on getting Eden and the other dragons in the green tier. So, epic-wise, Inky and Hydran are really going to be the best epics, at least in my opinion. Hydran is good just because you have lightning resist, you have rejuvenate, and you have wind wall. Lightning resist is good for obvious reasons. Wind wall is okay. It's pretty good at lower levels when ice turret and fire turrets aren't really that high level. And other than that, you have your cannon towers, archer towers, and trebuchets that are all projectiles blocked by wind wall. And your lightning towers, that damage is lessened by about 80% by Hydran's resist. So he's deflecting most damage taken. And rejuvenate is nice at lower levels just to gain some of your health back. Inky, again, she's one of those dragons that she's basically Newman on steroids. Because again, you have Death Gaze, you have Cloak, and then you have Trebuchet resist. Cloak and then the Death Gaze is a very, very strong combination that I think a lot of people overrate, but definitely Inky is probably the best epic by far. Then, of course, no need to talk about him, but Amrock is definitely by far the best legendary dragon. And yeah, he's just overall a beast in multiple game modes, so definitely suggest getting Amrock. And Ith and Baldur will give you him for 1,200 egg tokens. So up next, you'll notice, so Gasper and Garzev will give you Ith and Etten, I believe, for, I think, 17,000, I believe. I'm not sure. But those are going to be the ones you're going to want to get. Skip-wise, you don't need Dogga, you don't need Alexis. You do need Pandy, I believe, for Danzig, or you might need to breed Danzig and Pandy to get someone else. But yeah, so the only epic you really need is Ith. Ith is a strong dragon overall. Because, again, you have Lightning Resist, you have Explosive Shield, and you have Battle Cry. Very, very, very strong spell set, as well as a resist. So, Ith is going to be pretty powerful. For rares, you're just going to want to get every single rare. Like I said before, rares are very, very crucial because they allow you to breed the epics and then also the legendaries at some point. So, get the rares. But yeah, like I said, Naga, Pandy, Alexis, not necessarily worth your while. Karna is not great. Other than that, though, the other legendaries are pretty solid. Karna, it's just self-destruct is worthless, and lockdown is pretty much worthless. So, just not a strong dragon overall. Now, the gold tier. This is where it starts. Like, the gold tier is when it starts to get dependent on what type of dragonflyer you are. If you like to fly hunters, warriors, or sorcerers. I remember a guy named Castus on my team asked me when I was like a really low level when I first joined the team. You know, if you want to go the hunter's route, there's a way, or if you want to go the warrior route, there's a way. And that's really what it depends on. What do you want in these legendaries? So, epic-wise, you'll notice Caldebulk, Bander, and Pharactus. You're going to need Bander, and you're going to need Caldebulk. Pharactus is okay. Definitely not the best. Probably not the worst either. But overall, Pharactus is a mediocre dragon. Sacrifice is pretty nice, but overall, I think Caldebulk and Bander are pretty nice. Now, Bander is not that great of a dragon because, again, you have Ballista Resist. And at higher levels, Ballistas aren't used at all. So, really, if we're going to be going for any dragons, I would say Caldebulk and your Snoo for epics. And yeah, so get these guys up past the breedable level. Honestly, get Bander to breedable level and then just stop working on him. And then start working on your Snoo and Caldebulk. Because those two will be useful for you at higher levels. Though, obviously, you want to get your rares up to breedable and then stop. And that's true with every tier, except for red and probably blue. Red, purple, and blue are really where you're getting into the game. So get your rares max because there's no legendaries in those tiers. So those will actually be pretty solid dragons for you. But yeah. So, and then you have your legendaries. Now, I'm going to say this with every tier. Get your legendary dragons maxed out. But if you're going to go for any of them, get Whale first, then Consurgence. I did a video on that, specifically between those two, and I compared them and contrasted and whatever. Definitely check that video out if you're nearing the gold tier dragons. But yeah, then you have CTH and Synchronos. I don't know how you're pronounce CTH's like name. But yeah, so that's basically what I say, is get them all maxed out. Now, if you only want to get 2 of them, get Consurgence Whales, and then skip over Chrysosynchronous and CTH. But if you're going to get 4 of them, skip CTH. I think Synchronous is a lot better, just because of he has Thunderstorm and he has Freeze. And that's really the reason why. So, for the Platinum, I actually never knew Kryzan existed until I started breeding and I saw a picture of him. I had no idea this dragon was even in the game. And the thing is that Kryzan is not needed for anything, and very few people actually have him. So, skip Kryzan altogether. For the rares, get them to breedable level. Once you get to this point, I think they max out at 600,000 power, but they are worthless to you. They really are. Just get them to breedable level, use them to breed. Kulon, Nakura, Jagra, very solid epics. Get them maxed out. Specifically Jagra, because he's basically like Rysar, but in epic form, so definitely not too bad. Then, of course, you have the legendary dragons. Now, Kaiju, Kelvin, Rysar, Quetz, and Vulcan. Personally, on my account, I don't have Quetz. I do have Kaiju, and I have the other 4. I just don't have Quetz. So, for me, I think Kelvin and Vulcan are good. Just get them breedable level, and then stop. Of course, if you're like Pixel, though, try to get them maxed out, because if you do love sorcerers, they're going to be very, very useful to you. Rysar, though, is going to be the one that you want to max out. Of course, you have Nightshade now, for me personally, so Rysar kind of lost its appeal, just because of these, Divines will last so much longer than this guy, so, yeah. Honestly, having so many Divines, I mean, if you look at the Divine, like, look at this. Some people have every single Divine. This is legitimately a full roster. It's a full roster of dragons, and there's 2 more coming out, which is insane. I think there's too many Divines at this point, but you know, that's just me. But yeah, so I hope this video helped you guys. If you guys don't know, I'm doing a giveaway right now. Some of my subscribers said, you know, give $100 to 2 people, so I'll do that. If you want to enter that giveaway, subscribe, leave a comment down below with your in-game name, and I will add you to my chat in-game. I have, I think, 120 people altogether in those group chats. It's a lot of fun. I haven't been around, though, since I have been sick. I've, you know, kind of been battling through that. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, leave a like down below if you found this useful. Leave a like down below. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns about this, let me know as well, and I will try to answer your questions if at all possible. Either way, I will see you guys next time, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out, guys.